Ladies and gentlemen, it's great to be here at the AFL Tribunal where me and the boys here have all been graded as careless, our impact severe, our contact extremely high, and our looks quite handsome. Barely touched him. Episode 15 is coming at ya. I am your host, Ben Ree, and I am joined by the Right Honourable Corey Daffin.
Hello.
How are you, mate?
Hello.
And I'm also joined by our guest rapper on this track, MC Chiquito.
Yo.
It is Monty. How are you, mate? Good to have you here.
Thanks, buddy.
But just breaking news, boys. Breaking news. From the AFL Tribunal. We are live outside. Corey, have you got have you got our ambience?
I was just doing some
He's adjusting audio,
pre-production.
but we are live outside the AFL Tribunal headquarters right now, and I can report it's hot off the presses. Jordan De Goey has been convicted. No, he's been given 3 weeks for his hit on Elijah Hewitt. He's gone in guns blazing. We are outside now. We could not reach him for comment. But we got Damien Barrett for comment. He said potentially. There are whispers. Nothing's confirmed, etc., etc. Boys, what do we think about the 3-week suspension for Jordan De Goey?
I honestly thought it was going to be 4. So
Same.
I thought it would be higher.
Yeah, apparently his father was in there saying it should have a 25% reduction because of the attention in the media, the negative press.
Yeah, look, I like the defence. I like we'll call it the Kevin Spacey defence, but I don't. I thought it would have been higher.
The
It
Eagles
maybe
did fumble the
deserved
ball
it.
a little bit. There's not been ever a team that's commented publicly on Instagram with a meme type format.
Yeah, look, it's not great for me. I guess it's the Eagles' social media people
Yes.
that would have done that rather than the club itself. I don't think it came down from fucking Trevor Nisbet
No,
to say,
but it certainly didn't
you
look
need
good.
to talk shit about this on Instagram right now, guys.
Yep.
No,
Yeah,
I think it's
you
just
generally
a...
as soon as it's referred, you kind of just let that be dealt with.
It's a boisterous intern, I think,
Yeah.
that's done the thing. But I thought he was going to get 5. And I would, it's one of those things where I don't know what the tribunal is going to do week in, week out this year. So I don't know what the good punishment is for it. But he deserved to be rubbed out.
I would have thought 4. But yeah, 3 is fine. But the interesting thing to me was how fast the online discourse can turn around in an instant. With the people lovingly getting on board the Collingwood train and commenting on, I've hated Collingwood forever, but they're making me love them. They're making me love them. And then Jordan De Goey hits one guy, and all of a sudden, we're back to being the most evil cunts alive.
Yeah, they were just waiting. They were just waiting for a slight little slip up, and now we're public enemy number 1 again.
Just one hit.
One little bump to the head. And look, I was at the game.
As was I, yeah.
And look,
Was it a football act?
it was not.
no.
I mean, it would have been a football act in 1987, but it was not a football act.
It was later than a lot of the replays make it look like, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
He certainly wasn't lining him up from a distance as we've seen some of the other big hits of the year. But
Because I pick it round 1.
that was
to me, that was the biggest bump of the year.
Yeah,
that
but
one, and it got 2.
Well, what got taken into consideration was I think it was on
just
Bailey
realised
Smith.
that Kochie Pickett got less than this.
Well, that was on Bailey Smith, I believe, and Bailey Smith basically got up.
straight
and-
back.
Yeah, I
and
know, but
walked
that
away.
shouldn't have anything to do with it. I've
But
said
it
this
is.
time
We've
and
said
time
it
again.
before. The medical report always dictates the outcome. It's just stupid.
Yeah, it is dumb. But you look at the De Goey bump and the Pickett bump side by side. You tell me which one is more hectic.
Kochie's.
The Pickett one. The
Yeah, it's
Pickett
bad.
one was
He's
huge.
just lined him up.
He's
He
launched
launched.
him into the stratosphere. I mean, also, like, as horrible as it was, it looked fucking sick. Like, it's lined him up in the air. It looked like an anime fight scene when Kochie Pickett
Yeah, it was
bumped him
bad.
there. It was
It was very
Dragon Ball
bad.
Z-esque.
And
But-
Bailey's mullet went flying, so it added a little bit of that. That's why all professional
Had the
wrestlers
wrestlers
I
have
was
long
just
hair.
about to
Had the
say the
wrestlers.
wrestling long hair, but we'll get into the results of the round. Quick, smart. It was less games, as we know this week, due to the bye. Kicking it off, Friday night, we had Melbourne dispatching the Blues 61-44 at the MCG, and it goes from bad to worse.
It was not a great
Boring.
game.
No, it wasn't.
I was watching it kind of interspersed. I was at a local amateur game, and yeah, it just didn't look great. It wasn't engrossing. It certainly didn't make me want to keep watching it. It wasn't missing
and
anything.
not to spoil anything from the top 5, but it didn't make me want to throw out any votes either, to be
No.
honest,
No.
to anyone there. Less said about it, the better. Carlton
No,
are just a bit shit.
it certainly looked like they're lacking communication. That's for sure.
There was a good rinse that David King had on First Crack, which
Yes.
is official sister show of the podcast, even
It
though they
is.
don't know it yet. We love the First Crack boys. David
That's the
King was
gospel.
really rinsing the Carlton backline after, I think it was Lockie O'Brien, his man kicked a goal.
Yeah, I think it was Neil
And-
Bullen.
It was Neil Bullen who kicked a goal, and the lack of a team huddle from the back line.
Yeah,
at
they're
the
just
time,
standing around,
They
high-fiving.
just high fived each other
Yeah.
immediately, and he's like, you compare that to Melbourne or to Collingwood or to Geelong. If there's an easy goal kick like that, they are in a huddle, fucking going off, saying what happened, whose man is this, who's going
Yeah.
where.
Their
Dusty
defence-
Moore does a lot. Maynard loves to give his other back five a spray.
Melbourne's defence were quite good in that
Yeah.
game.
Jake Lever was amazing.
incredible.
Yeah, he was very good. If I was going to give votes to anyone in this game, it would be Lever or Petrarca.
I was thinking about him for one, for Lever.
Yeah,
but
I wouldn't mind it.
I don't know.
I wouldn't mind it.
I haven't got them locked in, to be
Yeah.
honest. So
What did you reckon
we'll
of the
see.
game, Monty?
I'm not locked in as well, Corey. It's actually a good point. In my head, I'm just constantly going, oh, yeah, no. The thing that
I've got
the thing
about
that
9 names
well-
written here are all around the numbers 1 to 5.
Yeah.
So we're just going to wing it
It's
when we get
just,
to it.
it's just a matter of perspective. I think when this game was not pleasant to watch, but
No.
like
It makes it harder to put votes
it
in
makes
when
harder
it's
to
an
put
awful game.
because even if let's say okay, Petrarca was very good, you're playing Carlton.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
You've
So-
really got to stand out if you want to get votes in here. You've got to
so
be like
I think we. I don't know about you guys, but off-site when I'm not on the pod, I have been taking into account the opposition.
Yes.
Or
Oh,
how close the
I
game has
certainly
been.
do. I definitely do.
And you also got to take into account the vibe. You know, that's the.
Yeah,
There's an X
absolutely.
factor. There's an X factor
If
to
someone's got a vibe about him, like I've given Nick Blakey a few votes this year because he's got good vibes.
there's Nick Blakey news as well.
There is. We'll
There
get
is.
to the. We'll get to the
that.
news. We'll go. We'll go to
But
the
do we-
news. The rest of the footy news after the MVP voting.
Do we
I reckon.
talk about Carlton now then? Because
Yeah, we can.
can-
We
let's-
absolutely can. Yeah.
what is happening there?
I think it's just it's competitive, contagious yips across the board
Yeah.
at every level when it is there.
From the top all the way
carnivorous,
down.
The carnivorous journos are starting to circle.
Yeah, the piranhas, the vultures.
the piranhas, the vultures, whatever.
The leeches.
The proverbial leeches are really starting to circle
Yeah.
the barrel. And it's not going to be too long before it's just a hype storm until.
And yet
Voss
again,
goes.
I'm gonna shout out a comment. It was a tweet from our beautiful, handsome man David King, who I steal opinions off of all the time. He says, "Keep in mind, Vossi has only coached 30 games for Carlton.
Yes.
30 games. If you were going to sack him after 40 games, if it was to get to this season and he gets sacked at the end, that's very poor form from Carlton if they're going to sack him after
Poor
that.
form, but I mean, not many coaches that coach 40 games have a list like that.
That's true. That's
know
true.
what I mean?
It's the
but,
most unstable job in the AFL.
Carlton coach.
Carlton
It's,
coach
it's
job.
defense against the dark arts teacher of the AFL.
Oh yeah, definitely.
They're going to get whacked in some particular way, and I
good
think
Lord.
Vossi is a bit of the Gilderoy Lockhart type, or maybe a Lupin type.
Yeah.
He might be a bit more Lupin actually.
I'm not sure about the Harry Potter references.
well, the defense against the dark arts teacher, they get it's cursed. It's a cursed position.
I do remember that about it, but specific characters, I don't
So,
remember.
Kenneth
Let's just-
Braha was Gilderoy Lockhart, the
Oh,
handsome
okay.
man.
Yep,
the
yep.
the defense against the dark arts course
Yes,
was headed
it's a
by
cert 3. It's a cert 3 in defense
right.
against dark
It's
arts.
a- yeah, so and you have Carlton have Harry, Ron, and
Here we go.
Hermione.
Here we go.
Oh, who are they? Who are
Carlton
they?
have
Monty?
Harry, Ron, and Hermione. They have
Okay.
the last 2 Coleman medalists and the last Brownlow medalist.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. Well, hang
So
on.
they
Which one
have-
of those is Ron?
Harry
Mackay.
Definitely
Mackay.
Harry Mackay's Ron. He's 100% Ron.
And
Harry
then-
Potter is
Is
Patrick Cripps. It's Patrick
and then
Cripps.
Hermione is
He's
uh,
even got the
Charlie
curly
Kerr,
hair.
He's
He's got
hair.
the Monty.
Okay,
That's a really good impromptu metaphor there.
This
yes.
is good. I might have to
So the
make a meme
solution
about that
is
this
to
one.
kill all of Mick Malthouse's Horcruxes, and then you get in a one-on-one fight with Mick Malthouse.
If you shave off his mustache, that's the setup.
and then through the power of love and family, you can make the finals and win a final with Carlton. What's next?
Oh
Who's
wait,
to
a
say?
side note that makes Caro, Dolores Umbridge.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Oh my God.
I thought you were going to say it
Harry
makes
Potter.
Christy Malthouse a Horcrux, and we have to go and kill her. Next game, it was Port Adelaide, Monty's boys, 151 to 96. Oh, and
hello.
I did not see this sound effect coming. Oh goodness
Wow.
me, Corey. We'll keep this
have
tastefully
it
on in the background.
background,
Yes.
yeah.
Monty, you walk us through what you thought of this. It is your beautiful boys.
It was the most scintillating first half of footy I've seen in the longest
It
time.
was pretty
Tell 'em
incredible.
about it. Tell them about it,
It
King.
was the. Tell me. So we've now got 9 in a row. We've never won 9 in a row ever in the AFL career.
First time.
And it was the biggest half that we've scored. It was the biggest deficit in a half that we've scored.
Record breaking. Oh, I will tell you what. I was watching the first quarter and a half of this.
Yeah, I was in a bit of a disbelief.
And I could not believe the ball movement off of halfback from
crazy.
from Port. It's the best footy I've seen them play in like 3 years. Like it was, and I get it's Hawthorn, but Hawthorn have
Hawthorn
not
was-
been pushovers this
Hawthorn
year.
was supposed to be the best of that bottom three.
They were.
And after watching North play and watching the Hawks play this weekend, you'd have to think that that's switched around.
Maybe.
Well,
It's-
the second half was Hawthorn was just they were really good.
Yeah, they turned it on. Yeah,
and,
they
and
did.
I know that no team can keep that up. Like no one's gonna. Port were on track to score over 200 points.
I thought they were going to do it. I was
it-
eagerly checking the
it
score.
looked like-
You know,
Okay.
the percentage went from 111 something to 121 at half time. It ended
Yeah.
up being at about 116. I mean, we need the percentage for ladder position, but
Yeah.
Well, my man Finlayson kicked 5 in the
He
fucking first
was
quarter.
unbelievable in that. But they could not get near him.
It was literally like in the Simpsons when he's like, "That's it, keep letting him punch you, tire himself out."
The dreader
'Cause, like,
Tatum.
pretty much.
In the second quarter, Finlayson was like on his knees, like he was struggling to walk for a
Yes,
bit because he
yeah.
was literally getting so much of the football and
Yeah,
running and doing
was,
so much.
He was done.
and
He was done.
it legit looked like that was the tactic. All right, boys, just let him kick.
And he
let him
punted
kick
that-
150, and then they'll be too tired, and we'll come back.
and he
they do
punted he punted that barrel out of the
He
stadium.
kicked it out of the stadium.
He fucking did.
I messaged the group chat because I'm a big Finlayson fan. I'm Finlayson has just
he's a
kicked
bit of an
out of the stadium.
honorary boy. He's
Yeah.
like a cousin boy to your actual boys, Finlayson. And whenever he's up and about, because
We've
I
got the
was,
sax solo coming in here.
I am very, very apologetic. This is a beautiful sax solo. Keep it going.
Perfect to talk
Because
about
at
Finlayson.
the start of the year, I called him a crab multiple times.
What? Did
yeah.
you?
Oh, yeah. I was very anti-Finlayson
Wow.
brigade.
I've been
I'm
bullish.
happy to admit I was 100% wrong. He's not a crab. He's like a beautiful lobster that is just very capable as a forward.
Look, in terms of
as a
fantasy,
ruckman.
in terms of fantasy, he was on 99 or 100 at half time.
Yeah.
And he only ended up getting another 26 or 27. So
Hey, he did
finished
all
on
he needed to do.
127. Yeah,
He did
the
all he
second
needed to
half,
do.
He
Try
was
and get
shot.
126 out of a forward.
Beautiful Pinchy the lobster
He
Finlayson.
was shot, but he did it all. He did it all.
Yeah.
So if now all the questions start coming up about the coaching contracts and all that sort of stuff, which we could probably delve into a little bit later. But basically, it was the single best first half I've seen in as long as I can remember, and
Yeah.
it was equally a disappointing second half.
Yeah. And, swings and roundabouts.
Well, they couldn't have kept that up for the whole game, but to let a Hawthorn team in their spec at the moment to score 7 goals in a row, 11 total for the second half, it was a little bit disappointing. Now,
a bit worrying, or are you feeling okay?
No, I mean I'm okay about it. I wish we didn't.
Yeah.
But I suppose that's the luxury of having. Well, we kicked the highest first half we've kicked.
Yeah,
ever.
in franchise history,
So,
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, next up we had West Coast hosting the beautiful, handsome Collingwood Magpies.
Oh, yeah. We were at
Who won
this
that game?
Yeah, Collingwood got up in the end 120 to 57, which is, we won by 63. It didn't feel like it. It did
No.
not feel like
Now,
it. That's the
there's-
best I've seen the Eagles play in a while.
Now, as usually when there's a fantastic Pies win like this, we've got a lot to say about how good Collingwood are, but I actually want to talk more about the Eagles.
Yeah,
They were very impressive.
They were completely dominant at one stage in the. I think it was
quarter?
the third quarter.
yeah.
They pulled it back to
we couldn't get our hands
14.
on. We couldn't get our hands on the footy in the centre bounce at all. It was completely.
Yeah.
We couldn't touch the thing. And Bailey Williams, that's like one of the best patches I've seen him play in the ruck. Absolute boy candidate. I don't think anyone's adopted
No one
Bailey
has,
Williams yet.
But just the vibe in this set, we weren't sitting together. We were at different spots. But I was talking to a lot of people, and all of the Eagles fans were. I mean, they got pummeled in the end. If you look at the scoreline, but everyone was very positive.
Yeah,
and pleased.
dude,
That was the happiest.
And credit
they've been
to
all
him,
year, I
like
think.
the stadium during that comeback run was pretty fucking
Yeah, it was
hype.
pumping.
It was
It was
pumping.
pumping.
It was absolutely pumping. Dom Sheed
What was
had
the crowd?
42,000.
It was
That's
quite,
like
that's a
43,
lot
like
for a team that is
43,000.
not doing well.
But
granted,
Collingwood-
a lot of that was Collingwood.
Okay,
fans come
gotcha,
out in
gotcha.
droves.
Yeah, whenever there was a goal scored for the Pies, you really felt it. You're like,
Yeah.
holy shit, they're everywhere.
yeah.
Dom Sheed had 43 disposals.
Yeah, that's
And
phenomenal.
kicked a phenomenal goal in the pocket.
He kicked that right in front of where I was sitting.
Yeah,
right
it was
in front
a
of me.
beautiful
His
kick.
150th?
Yeah,
It was his
it was,
milestone
yeah.
game? Yeah.
Congrats to him, even though I did get PTSD from seeing the 2018 grand final footage
Man,
again.
on-
No matter how many times I see it, still hurts.
But
still
the
hurts.
last 3 or 4 games prior to this, the Eagles have had the one wood over Collingwood.
Yeah,
yeah,
it's
big
always been a
So
bit
I
of a
think
bunny
that,
team.
I think that's kind of maybe have been a little bit of a motivational
So
thing.
in typical Eagles fashion as well, they had 2 injuries in the first quarter.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
and then Hewitt got absolutely poleaxed by
Yeah.
Zagoe
Yes.
in the second quarter.
So you had to go see the special victims unit.
They're not getting any better with the lack of injuries, but they managed to run it out. And even in the presses, even Fly was saying that having 2 guys on the bench from the second quarter contributed to that fourth quarter run that the Pies
Yes,
got. So,
absolutely it did. So-
hypothetically speaking, if they had a full bench, what happens? The
Heads
score
held,
may
I
be
think,
closer.
walk away with your heads held high.
definitely
There's
think so.
a lot of guys had good
And
games.
special shout out to friend of the show, Scotty B. I ended up sitting next to him and his lovely partner for the second half.
Shout out Scotty B.
I found
Yes.
him loitering around at the back of the stand there and brought him down to our row. 'Cause it
Yeah,
was
good
mostly
stuff.
empty.
Good stuff. Next up, we had the Cats getting up over the Doggies by 22 points. I did not watch these next 2 games live because I was out and about.
Both ripping games.
Yes, I
Yeah.
watched the KO mini matches and the analysis on the games after, but just didn't watch the full broadcast. I'm pissed off I didn't because they as I was looking at the score updates, I'm like, oh, and that's just me refreshing the AFL, scores. I
Yeah.
can't imagine watching them live.
I watched bits and pieces of them live. It was pretty interesting. The Bulldogs won all the major stats, all of them,
Except the scoreline.
except
Yep.
the scoreline, and it was because they're not using Norton. And we'll go into that a bit more. But I dug up an interesting one here for Tom Liberatore.
Yeah, go on.
He's become just the 4th AFL player to reach 200 games and have a 0-10 or worse record against a single team after losing to Geelong on Saturday. This was his 11th loss to the Cats with no wins.
What?
Whoa.
He joins Ted Poole, 200 games for Hawthorn, 0-19 against Carlton.
0-19
And 0-17
Carlton.
against Collingwood, along with David Swallow currently on 209 games for Gold Coast with 1 draw and 11 losses to Essendon.
Oh, imagine having Essington as your bunny team.
So poor old
no.
Libba, who is absolutely on fire this season,
Yes.
potentially one of his best seasons ever.
Yeah, since 2016.
Since 2016,
Yeah,
yeah,
for sure.
yeah,
For sure.
And that is just an awful stat to have
Yeah.
on your
Oh,
record.
man. Imagine Libba's just scrolling through Facebook and he's not aware this stat exists. And he sees,
I think he'd be
he
very
sees
aware.
that pop up and he just goes, oh, for fuck's sake.
No, I mean,
for fuck's sake.
Like, anyone who follows me on social media will know that I've always said that the key to beating the Western Bulldogs is to stop Tom Liberatore.
Yeah, tag him. You got to tag
You've got
Libba.
to tag him because he's the one who gets the ball from the inside to the
He's
outside. When they get to the outside, they're
Absolutely
off.
correct. Yes.
That dog's midfield is so dominant.
Yeah.
And he is a big key, the key lock piece to make
Yeah.
it all work.
They are. they're going to make the 8, the Dogs. I've got
absolutely
no
they will.
ifs, ands, or buts about that. I've got no idea how they're going to go in the finals. You don't think they're going to make the 8, Monty?
No, because remember last time I was on, I wrote off the Swans.
Yes.
And then I think I wrote off the Dogs then.
I think you
It's
may
just
have, yes.
That 7th and 8th spot is just difficult. They're probably the best of the bunch. We'll see how they go on Friday night
The
against
thing
my
is,
boys. But
I think they'll definitely make the 8, but on the way there, I mean, I think they've got the Suns in 3 weeks' time, and I can see the Suns beating them. Like that. This is the thing. They will make the 8, but there's games where you would think.
Speaking of which, the Suns getting up in Darwin against
Just quickly before
Yes.
we go to that,
Yes,
I
yes,
just
yes.
want to point out Caleb Daniel scoring a goal, unbelievable.
Oh,
That
yeah,
was
I love
fantastic.
Caleb Daniel,
The little
yes.
fella just lasering
Helmet
one
man
through.
himself.
Yes,
I love it.
yes.
And just on the Dogs, another little stat. They're 18th in the competition for shot accuracy,
Yeah, and
which is not great.
And that's when it's because they give themselves really poor looks at goal
Yes, they
for
do.
most.
their
for most of
choices
their
going
thing. Yeah.
inside 50 are ridiculous.
And
they'll go to Norton when he's absolutely mauled, and they'll
Yep.
go elsewhere when he's all alone.
They'll be
And
kicking
they
it
won't go to
high.
him when he's open as
They'll
well.
be
This
kicking
is
it
the thing.
high to fucking Cody Wakeman in a pack.
Yeah.
It's like expecting him to take a hang every
So-
time he's up
and
there.
this is it. Like,
it's a
they've
very
won-
poor choice of forward 50 entries. Very shallow or low percentage kicks.
They've won every stat and lost the game because of
Yeah.
that. They're not
Yeah.
using their attempts.
Credit to Geelong though.
Yes, Geelong, polar opposite of that. They were very
clinical,
efficient.
very clinical.
Fucking shout out. I haven't given him votes, but my God, no longer eligible to be a boy, I think, because he's too good now. Brian Myers
Yep.
is...
He had a game.
Well, you dropped him from your fantasy team.
I did drop him from my fantasy team because what he does doesn't show up on the fantasy stat sheet.
No, it doesn't.
You don't get extra points for goal assists in AFL
and there's
fantasy.
no extra points for having a weird kicking
There's
action.
no extra points for having a weird kicking action, a weird name, and or a weird head, of which Brian Myers has all three.
three.
All three.
Well, he has done himself a service by having a more normal haircut this year.
Yeah, he can run faster.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
haircut was not great
Yeah,
last year.
it was.
It's
look,
often actually hard
not
to spot
that you
him
can
now.
talk because you are a white man with dreadlocks also.
Ah.
Dreadlock. You have one. You cut them all off. You now have a very thick rat's tail.
Yes.
Forgive
Yeah.
me.
And the most stereolooking people on earth will frequently stop me now and say, I say, sorry, what was that, mate? I'm like, oh, I love the rat tail. Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
So
Thanks.
Yes.
just to touch on Geelong. Will they make it?
Oh, I don't know. My heart says no. My head says yes.
Because that stat last week, they lost to GWS and Gold Coast, and no teams
no
finished
team
higher
has
than
that's
ever
12.
right.
done
We
that.
wrote that.
Yes, throwback to
Well,
last week's episode.
Geelong's run from here is Port, Melbourne, and Sydney. I think they have a buy in between.
They actually play us
Yeah.
twice.
That is
Okay, yeah.
tough. I'm
Yeah.
going to say no. I don't think they make the
So
8.
Port, Melbourne, and Sydney is a hard run for the next 3 games.
I think they just can't get enough wins. I think they're going to go down in some close ones. It's the 8's going to be tight. The more I think about
from,
this.
from
Yeah.
about five or 6 to 11th is hardcore.
So
13th. Go
Yeah,
like
it's
13th.
crazy.
It's going to be fucked. Next
think the
game,
one
we
team
got to whiz through
Yeah,
these.
go on.
We had the Suns beating the Crom in Darwin, harnessing the
Oh,
power
mate.
of the Northern Territory
Now,
Sun.
This is crazy. All I've written down for this one is huge in
It's
capital
massive.
letters.
It is
That's all I've got.
contextually for the Gold Coast Suns. This is. I mean, I feel like this has been said maybe 5 or 6 times over the last 3 years, but this might be the most important win in their. If they make finals this year, this is where
This
it
is the
turned.
turning
Yeah.
point.
This
Yeah,
is where
yeah.
it turned.
Yeah, well,
and
hang
they
on.
could do it.
Who did they beat last week that was pretty good?
Last week
Didn't they have a
they beat
a franchise?
They had a
defining-
they beat the Doggies last week.
Yeah.
84-77.
Yeah,
Again,
that,
very,
that was
very,
a
very
pretty
close.
franchise
But then
defining
to back
run.
it up in Darwin against the Crows this
But
week.
they played in Darwin last week as well.
Yes.
So
And they stayed in Darwin, I believe.
Yep.
So maybe I think there is something to that. I was questioning this last week.
Well,
when we were,
Stuart Dew
tipping.
said in a press conference that he's like, we feel like the Territories team now, like we're owning it, and
Yeah, well,
that's
that's good.
fucking that's awesome.
Yeah, it's good.
That's really good.
If you've ever been to Darwin and then been to somewhere like Cairns, which I know isn't the Gold Coast, but it's in the same zone.
Yes.
They're extremely similar places.
So this is.
Extremely similar.
I was going to save this for the mailbag, but this ties in perfectly to a friend of mine, Owen, wrote into the show, and we were talking about Darwin. He goes, I'm listening to the podcast and a clarification about the Darwin footballing landscape. I'm a Darwin boy and Adelaide is where you go as a Darwin kid, if you made it, then you go back. If you're a bit adventurous, you go to Melbourne or Perth. And if you're a weirdo, you go to Sydney. Two most supported local clubs are the Crows in Darwin because of Darwin's Andy McLeod, 1997.
Yes.
And Essendon due to Michael Long and the Riolis being from the Tiwi Islands.
That makes sense.
An incredible number of great footballers from a population of 2,500 people. He says, enjoying it. It's good stuff. Well done. Thank you, Owen.
Yeah, cool.
Now the Suns are throwing their name into that like little trifecta of teams.
Yeah, well,
maybe
they
for
have
territory
they have
people.
a brand now. They've never really had a discernible, consistent brand
Yes.
of footy.
And
Like
it's-
you know what you know what you can expect when you watch the Suns play.
Hard fought midfield battle,
Yep.
contested ball.
Matt
and
Rao wrecking people.
Matt Rao wrecking people. Noah Anderson just racking up touches and kicking a couple of goals. And now they've got King and Kochie actually playing very good football.
really good
10
football.
goals in 2 weeks
Yep.
for Kochie.
Yep.
Unreal. He's the
It's-
first Sun
he's a
to do
jet.
it.
And a very good backline as well. Like you got Sammy Collins back there, Charlie Ballard,
Weller's coming back.
Weller off of halfback. There's a lot to like. I like
think-
Brandon Ellis sitting on a wing as well.
Man,
Don't mind it.
honestly, out of the Dogs, the Crows, and the Gold Coast, I would not because Port have never lost to the Gold Coast, but I would say
They're the last team.
I would say I'd like to see the Gold Coast out of those three teams make the
Oh,
finals.
for sure.
And then
yeah,
if
yeah,
anything,
for sure.
if anything, I would see Fremantle making a charge this
Yeah,
back end of
I
the
think
year.
Freo will go as high as 6 or 7.
If Suns and Freo make their way into the 8, and
I'd gladly see the Crows and the Dogs drop off.
perhaps look, we know you don't like the Crom, but I do like the Crom.
Yeah, I like the
and
Crom. I like the
if
Crom.
Suns, Freo, and Crom make it into the 8, best timeline for me. That's best timeline.
Yeah, I
All
like
right,
that.
next up, the Tigers getting up against the GWS Giants.
Well, these two games were great as well.
Mate, these
Yeah, these were bangers.
Basically, anything
These
that's not
were
a Carlton
bangers.
game was great this
yeah,
week.
dude, like it was actually a really good round of footy apart from Carlton being shit. Like that was the only
So,
thing that brought it down.
This game I didn't watch, but I listened to it here in the shed. I was working down here in the shed. We had it on the radio.
I think it's good to do that with one of the games in the round is listen to
the
it.
first thing I'll say about that is the Triple M commentators are god awful.
Oh, you don't like him? Who was it
don't
for this
like
game?
him?
Who was
Damn.
it? Who was it?
It was JB maybe.
Oh, I love JB.
who
JB's
else?
great.
There was
I
a few
love
more.
JB.
Oh, it was insufferable. I think because it was
Oh!
It's
because it was such a close game. They weren't actually telling you much of what was going on. It was a lot of
Yeah.
"Oh!"
Yeah, that's what I want. That is
It's
exactly what I
like,
want.
okay, but what's happening? Like, what do you?
Yeah.
You got to tell us what's happening. We're listening to
He's
it.
having a word to him, Bristle. Like, there's a lot of that. They'll adopt a player. Tip rat. They will adopt a player in the first quarter that one of the commentators hasn't liked or whatever. Like say Jack Ross has done something crabby, and then Bristle will say that Jack Ross not very good there. For the rest of the game, it's like there's your man, Bristle. It's Jack Ross, and that is radio commentary
But this is
101.
the thing. It's like a bunch of fellas,
Yes.
and instead of they're not getting paid to commentate a game through the radio for people to listen to it. They're getting paid to drink beers and watch the game together.
That
and
is what you're
Mate, you're-
describing. You're saying
That's
this
the
like
perfect
it's a
scenario.
bad thing.
Look, it
This
sounds
is a
great.
great thing.
It sounds great if you're the one doing it. If you're
Yes.
listening to it and you're trying to figure out
But
what's
bless you,
happening,
mate.
it's not,
You're-
not
Glenn,
fantastic.
If you want to hire
bless you,
us,
you're a purist.
yes,
You're a
a
purist
very
at
good
heart.
purist.
Last week they adopted from Sydney Tom Papley.
Yeah, the
Okay,
page.
yeah,
Instead,
they love
instead
that.
of, they coined him the new tip rat, and Stephen Mill was there, and he
Yes.
said, "No,
Yes.
he's not the new tip rat." So they called him.
He
Started
is,
calling him
though.
the trash
He
panda.
absolutely is.
They
The
started calling
trash
him
panda.
Commentators aside, some notes on this game was
Yep,
that it was
yep.
classic Tigers chaotic football.
Yeah,
It was.
Just
It was-
willing the ball forward in any way possible.
Maybe it's the 2019 grand final rematch that brought it out in them, against these
Yeah.
Giants, who have been
Yeah.
in good form the past
They
couple
have
of
been.
weeks.
The
They've been
Tsunami
in very
has
good
been
form.
in, and it's yet another game that they lose by a very close
Yeah.
margin.
Yep.
Which you hate to see.
A lot of
for
honourable
Kingsley.
losses this year from the Giants. I just great footy. Great footy all
shout
round.
out to the WA boy Marlon Pickett, who had a
Oh,
fantastic
Pick
game.
the winner.
Incredible
Huge game, 2
Marlon
goals.
Pickett. And the last game of the round, rounding things out, Essington beating off the Kangas. That sounded wrong. Beating the Kangaroos, not in a sexual way, by 6 points. And
Another phenomenal game.
This was another phenomenal game. Massimo D'Ambrosio at the end. I must admit, I was pulling for North.
I was pulling for North.
I,
I wanted North to get up.
Yeah, I wanted North to get up, but full credit to the Dons here. That last 10 minutes of footy, jaw on the floor. Absolute jaw on the floor.
You know what?
stuff.
I'll say this. In stark contrast to his brother, Ben Mackay
Yes.
had a game.
Ripper game. Because he's had some stinkers this year,
He
Ben
has,
Mackay.
and
it's hard being a backman for North Melbourne sometimes.
Yeah.
I must admit. It would be very difficult getting all those goals kicked on you. But reading the ball in the air, he was
Intercept
sublime.
game was
he
elite.
was sublime.
Yeah, he was.
And let's round out. We'll whiz through these with our MVP voting, boys. Get your top fives ready. This is our top
It could
five players
change.
of
I've got
the
12
round.
people here.
Yeah. Oh, look. We'll go through. If someone wants to pull Joel's up while I go through,
I've got Joel's.
my ones here.
Excellent.
For one vote, I know I told you that I didn't give any votes in the Melbourne Carlton game, but it was a ruse. it was a red herring. I do have one vote for Ed Langdon this week.
Oh, poor fella's injured.
The Ed Langdon effect, I think he deserves it. This is more of
Sorry, I
a
was thinking
vibe.
of Ed Richards.
You're thinking of Ed Richards.
Yep.
A vibe pick because I think he's the best pure.
Your pick one is usually like that.
It's a
too.
vibe pick. I think he's the best pure winger in the comp. And he has been
He's
for
had
like
a bit
2
of a
years.
down year, I would think.
No, he hasn't. Just because he's
I
not
don't
hitting,
know.
just because he's not hitting the stat sheet, it doesn't mean he's not the best actual winger
true,
in the
true,
comp.
true,
like
true.
Mason Wood was good at the start of the year. Josh Dacos is having a good season on the wing, but as a genuine offensive winger, Ed Langdon is the number one boy. 25 disposals, 590 metres gained,
I like that.
7 inside 50s, just running hard. I think he got like 15.8 Ks run for the game, like something like that. He's just a true winger, does his role for the team every week, and I would put him on my All-Australian wing at the minute.
Pretty sure his disposal efficiency was high 80s as well. So
Yeah.
that's
Oh,
pretty-
he's
that's
an
right.
unbelievable kick.
We like that.
I love Ed Langdon. I love him. 2 votes, Tim Taranto.
Wait, are we doing ones across and then, or you want to?
No,
Oh,
just go
well,
off
I've started it now.
We'll go
I've
off
started
five.
now. We'll
Go
go
off
off 5.
five.
2 votes, Tim Taranto.
Love it.
Another ripping game.
36 disposals, 630 metres gained, 1 goal and 5 tackles. He's a shoo-in for their best and fairest, Tim Taranto, like for the
Easily.
Tigers this year. He's, I'd say, maybe recruit of the year, like trade of the year. For the impact he's had on his team. He's got to be up top 5.
And he was best on against a loss to Port last week.
Oh,
He
easily
was
just-
best
best on. He's a contested beast. 3 votes, and you're going to love this one. Jeremy Finlayson for 3 votes.
we love it.
Get up and around him. Well, I'm calling him the lobster. I'm calling him Pinchy from here on out. Not a crab. 5 goals and literally ended the game at quarter time.
Yeah.
Without Finlayson going on that burst, I honestly think the game goes very differently.
Well, by the end of the game, Finlayson had 5.
Yes.
Todd Marshall had 5.
Yes, but it
Junior Rioli
started-
had 4,
it
and Bruce had
started
4.
with the Finlayson in the
did.
first
It
quarter.
did.
He
4 in
kicked
the
it all off.
first, and
He couldn't. Every time it got near, he was just like, oh, there he is, bang. There he is, bang. There he is, bang. It's another goal. 3 votes, Jeremy Finlayson. You love to see it. 4 votes, and I really feel bad for doing this. I didn't want to give him any votes because I want the count to be interesting, and it's Nick
Don't
Dacos.
say it.
It's
Oh,
Nick Dacos.
God.
I don't
Was
like it
was that
any more
4
than you do.
votes, sorry?
4 votes for Nick Dacos.
Just change it.
The 30 disposals, 3 goals,
listen,
9
I-
score
against West
involvements.
Coast-
I had to-
but bro,
Come on,
it's-
man.
I had to
I
push-
didn't want to do it, Monty.
I had to push
didn't want to
him.
do
Okay,
it.
well, you've helped me eliminate
I had to
something
push
out of
him
mine.
down. I had to push Nicky down mine to make the count more interesting
Well,
as well.
I haven't been giving him votes the last like 2 or 3 weeks.
He hasn't got votes since round 7.
This was like, even though it's against West Coast, yes, they did play very good football in that game. Probably the best footy we've seen West Coast play that year. And Nick Dacos, in the moments where he was bursting forward, that's the first time I've seen him play live. And Jesus,
it was
fuck,
unreal.
he's got pace.
It was unreal.
He's got pace, man. Like I couldn't believe some of the forward runs, the goals he was kicking. Like be lucky I didn't give him 5. I didn't want to give him votes at all, but I couldn't not. And 5 votes, Zach Merritt. 34 disposals, 7 inside 50s, 8 clearances, 2 goals, carrying that Essendon midfield big time. 10 score involvements, 6 tackles. He's had like 3 best ons in the past 3 weeks, Zach Merritt. He's been unreal. So that's my 5. Monty?
Very good.
I don't rate Zach Merritt.
You don't rate Zach
I
Merritt?
don't love him.
Oh,
I don't love him, but
Okay.
the-
Mind you,
stats
there are
don't lie.
people out there who know that at one point in time I said I didn't rate Lenny Hayes.
Jesus Christ.
That's another kettle of fish. That's
Yeah.
another kettle of
I'm not
fish.
going to open that.
Oh,
yes.
goodness me.
All right,
All
who's
right,
who's
shoot.
going next?
You go for it, Monty.
Yeah,
Okay.
someone go, Monty. Yes.
Well, originally I had Rioli 1 vote, Finlayson 2 votes, Houston 3 votes, Butters 4 votes, Rosie 5 votes. But I don't think I could do that.
You're shaking it up?
I'm shaking it up.
All right.
already.
shake
what
and
do-
bake.
what do you got?
Shake and bake.
I've actually got my 1 vote is going to go for Nick Martin from Essendon.
Oh,
He-
yeah,
great.
very
He did
fair.
a lot of
Very
incredible
fair.
things
He's great.
off the ball.
Fuck, I wanted to put him in mine. I forgot.
Did you?
That's okay.
Yeah.
That's all right. Do you want me to give him more? No. I'll just give him one. 2, I'm going for Jack Lukosius.
Yeah,
very
I wanted
good,
to give him
very
some.
good.
Yeah,
He
yeah.
was incredible. He has strung together some great form.
Yes.
Big time, yeah.
3 votes I'm actually going to give to Dan Houston. I
Yep.
think he was pivotal in the halfback swing for Port.
He can play anywhere on the ground, Dan Houston. I think if you chucked him up forward,
Yeah.
he'd be dangerous as well, honestly. Like, he was on the wing a little bit in the past couple of years, but now he's in, like, half-back sort of role, isn't
Yep.
he?
Yep.
A gun.
Yeah.
Absolute gun.
And kicked a snag too, so that's pretty
Yes.
good. 4 votes. Well, I didn't want... I was...
He's gonna
Christian
say Nick
Petrarca.
Dacos.
So I'm going to give
Petrarca.
Christian Petrarca 4
Yeah,
votes.
I wanted to give Petrarca some as well, but...
I didn't
yeah.
want to because of who he like. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's just, but he
Yeah.
did really, really well.
Yeah, he's
Um,
underrepresented in our count, to
I
be
think
honest,
he
as
is
well. So
for the-
I'm
for the-
glad you've given
Yeah,
him
well,
some.
it's hard. It's
Yeah.
hard for him with Clayton.
I've been guilty of giving Clayton votes over
Yeah,
him, so
yeah.
I'm glad you gave him the 4.
And the 5 I'm going to give to Tom Stewart. He was
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
All very diverse top 5s from both of us here. I like
Joel's, Have you got
I've
Joel's
got-
handy?
Yeah, I've got Joel's.
Yeah,
Joel's
read 'em
given gold. I'll rattle them off. Joel's given 1 to Tim Taranto,
Yep.
Toronto,
2 to Nick Dacos,
Yep.
Dacos.
3 to Nick Martin,
it. Yep.
4 to Zach Merritt,
Yep.
and 5 to Tim English. Who? you know
okay,
what?
yeah.
I'm
Oh, yeah,
actually
yeah.
glad Joel's given 5
Yeah,
to Tim English
'cause
because
he's-
he strung together some very good games
He's
as well.
all Australian ruckman at the minute. Like he's going to start
Yeah,
that team.
I don't
Yep.
see anyone taking that off him.
Okay,
Yep.
I've got one
This'll be
vote,
good. This'll be good.
Jake Lever.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
yes.
Jakey boy, yes.
Unreal in defence there for Melbourne. Lukosius, 2 votes. 3 votes for Nicky Dacos.
yes. Oh god, he's just blitzing this count.
4
Oh.
votes for Taranto.
Yep.
And 5 votes for Big Jeremy Finlay.
Yes.
Amazing.
Pinchy. Oh,
Shout out to you, Jezza.
Amazing.
I actually love that.
Yeah,
He's
he-
rocking it
he-
up the
he
count
was
this
rocking
week,
it.
hasn't
He was
he?
rocking
Is it the
it.
first time he's gotten votes from any of us this week? I think you might have given him some before.
All of the votes that he has have from me. And he's got a few.
He'll be up in the top 30, I reckon, now. Like,
Easily.
you'd have to be.
Easily.
Were you doing quick maths there, or were you just
No.
frantically changing
No,
your
but
own votes?
That
Yeah.
just off the top of my head, that's not going to change the top 10 at all.
Okay, so
So
Maybe
Nick
Merritt.
Dacos, Daylight, and then the rest, right?
if
yeah.
you are, what I
It could, if
Can we
any-
start putting
if
votes onto
anything-
Butters, or
If
what?
anything, that could
I gave Butters votes, I believe. I've
that
given
could,
him
that
votes.
could bring
yes.
Merritt into the top 10, I believe. It might put Petrarca up a spot or 2, but that's about it.
Yeah. Okay. Well, next up.
I was just
Sorry,
I was
Monty,
just thinking
yes.
because we had such an array of array of votes there. Is there anyone that you rattle off one, Corey rattle off one, and I rattle off one? One person who didn't get a vote from anyone,
Oh yeah.
just like an honourable mention.
Oh,
Dom
Noah,
Sheed.
Noah Anderson.
Dom
Noah
Sheed.
Anderson.
I
Yeah,
really,
Dom
I
Sheed,
really
yeah.
wanted to put Dom Sheed in. 43 disposals
Yeah.
and a goal kicked right in front of where I was sitting.
Yeah.
It was hard not to put him in.
I wanted to give Noah Anderson votes.
same.
He kicked 2 goals and got like 30 odd touches, I think.
Well,
Was,
you've both taken the 2 that I had lined up. Anyway, I'll say Connor Rosie also.
yeah.
the
He's
Port-centric,
actually
but-
been stiff the whole count. I don't think we've given much votes for Rosie. I think he might have. He might have gotten a 5 from someone.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was. It's going to be very tough. Another thing, before we go into Adopt Your Boy, which is what we usually do, we'll round off a couple of other footy news items, if you've got them in the chamber, boys, because I've got one. Not news per se. This is very Sandra Sully late news, but it's just something I've noticed. You know how anytime Oleg Markov comes up, I will rail off the very cool factoid that he was the fastest recorded ever speed on the Telstra tracker at 37.4 k's an hour. That has been beaten this
really?
year, and there was no news about it. There was no news
who
about
beat
it. I'll tell you who beat it. I got a photo of it. So These are the all-time. This is the top 5 all-time speeds recorded in the Telstra tracker reached in a game. Keep in mind, Oleg Markov did have the high of 37.4 Ks. So 5th highest all-time was Brad Hill in 2020, 36.6 Ks an hour at Marvel Stadium, round 4, Saints versus Tigers. In 4th place at 37 Ks an hour even was Sam Switkowski of the Freo Dockers. He's a very... Yeah, dude, he's quick.
Wow.
He's so small.
He's a quick boy. Well, it's always going to be the smaller players that do it. Now, Oleg Markov now sits in 3rd.
What?
I don't know
two
where...
have beaten him.
2 have beaten him. This was in 2019. He got 37.4 Ks an hour. Tigers v Magpies at the MCG. Now, we have 2 people who now hold the equal first place of highest pace recorded in an AFL game. You're not going to believe it. You're not going to believe
Hang
this,
on,
boys.
can we guess?
There's 2 boys, and they're both on an identical speed. Just rail off some names at me.
Okay, can you give us teams or no? Is that too
Okay,
hard?
one of them is from North Melbourne. You will not guess who it is.
North Melbourne.
You will not guess who it is.
Okay, and then the other one?
The other one is Geelong.
It's obviously Todd Goldstein.
It's not Big Goldie. Shalom. It's not Big Goldie.
More like 3.7 Ks an hour, not 37.
But consistently for the whole game, that 3.7 Ks. No, it's not Big Goldie.
And you said Geelong.
North Melbourne and Geelong.
And it was this week or
No.
this year?
This one of them, both of them were recorded this year.
Okay.
Both of them, and it didn't make news, which I think is very not good
Okay,
on the media front.
shoot it.
Okay, both equal from North Melbourne, round 7, 2023 this year against the Demons at the G. Charlie Comben
What?
at
Wow.
37.8 kilometres an hour now holds the equal
hell?
spot. They should both be number 1.
Yeah.
From Geelong, Cats v Maggies round 1 this year.
Not Max Holmes.
Gary Rowan.
Gary
Rowan
Excuse
also
me?
at 37.8 Ks an hour.
He's a big boy too.
He is a big boy.
30, what?
Yeah, Charlie Comben and Gary Rowan, fastest men in the AFL, according to
that is phenomenal.
according to the Telstra tracker. I just think that's amazing that no one has said this. I have not seen one thing pop up about it. So you heard it here first on the Barely Touched Him podcast.
Yeah,
this is
that's
the
crazy.
top tier journalism you can expect from us boys here. We dig through the stats. We find you the stories that no one else is giving you.
I've got a story.
You got a story, Corey?
The Lizard.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yes.
Nick,
Get around
Nick
him.
Blakey
Get
has
around him.
re-signed with the Sydney Swans until the end of 2031. That's the
I'm
longest.
going to go back to the wide shot there because we will clip this.
That is the longest currently active deal in the AFL.
And honestly, it's about damn time that the Lizard got some respect. He is
no information on what it's worth, but
Yeah.
I would imagine it would be low with the option of going quite high.
Yes, later on, I
KPIs.
reckon they would tack it on because
Yeah.
he very rarely.
If he's hitting benchmarks, I would imagine that he would be.
I'm
worth
glad
800,000 to
about the
900,000.
precedent this could set for like running defenders because it is now, as we've discussed, the running defender is the most important position I think on
absolutely.
an
If you
AFL
look,
team
if
now.
you look at the state of the game and look at how dominant Nick Dacos is, and that's exactly what he does.
Yep. You look at guys like Mason Redmond for the Dons.
Yes.
You look at guys like Jack Sinclair for St Kilda.
Yep.
Guys who can run and carry off of halfback and like
set up.
take the game on in transition.
Yep.
Lizard is like one of the best.
And
he is one of the
what
best.
players are doing now is coming off halfback, giving it to someone, and then following up.
Yes.
And they're ending up in the forward 50.
Yeah, it's just beautiful to see our defensive boys get some love.
I did
And
read that he-
just a big win for the reptile community. Sorry, sorry, Monty.
I did hear that it was low with the option to go high, and came with his own heating lamp and personal rock.
Oh, a salt lamp.
Okay.
Yeah, no,
I
little hot rock.
thought you actually had something there, but that's good.
Some supplies of some little flies for him to stick his
Lizards can
tongue
live
out
a
next.
very, very long
I've got
time for
I've-
this long.
I've got
long-
another little one. I was going to bring this up while we were going through the games, but the
That's all right.
GWS versus Richmond. GWS had the opportunity to go on the top of the all-time draw ratio leaderboard if they had have drawn with the Tigers there.
Get out of here.
A draw would have put them at 5 draws out of 263 games, which is a 1.9%
That
differential.
is wild.
And you have to go back to all the way back to when University was in the VFL to get 2 draws out of 126 matches for 1.59%.
Wow.
You know what I would love to get on a tangent? A university like jersey. if they exist.
that'd be pretty good.
That would be pretty sick. That would be pretty sick. Has anyone got any other football
Well, I was going to say,
news,
just going off the
Monty?
lizard, the halfback thing.
The lizard.
I'm sure Port supporters have sort of noticed Darcy Byrne-Jones going forward as a halfback, playing a halfback on a halfback, and he's now taking he is now playing a forward defensive role against the best halfback.
Because that's where taggers go now. Even more so than in the midfield. You'll get a high half forward to tag their half back out of the game.
Now, if anything, this since our crippling loss to Collingwood and the failed attempt to get Lachie Jones onto Nick Dacos.
Yeah, not a good call from
which
Ken
Gary
Hinkle there.
Lyon
That
did
was
say
bad.
put a halfback on a halfback and make Darcy Byrne-Jones go to Nick Dacos, and I on the podcast said that was dumb to put a more impactful forward.
Are you gonna retract?
I'm going to retract and say that was actually very, very factual, correct
He
statement.
comes out with some bangers occasionally, Gary Lyon.
and it's
He knows
worked.
what he's talking
And I
about.
He
swear
does.
to you,
If he's not rooting your missus in the
Oh,
toilet,
you had to go there, didn't you?
he's coming out with
no.
some. He knows football.
We weren't there. We don't know what went down. This is not. This will not hold up in a court of law. Don't sue us.
Well, basically now I think that Ken and the coaching department are planning to take on that.
Yep.
Well,
that-
do
that
we
role.
play Port again in the home and away season?
We do. And I might get over for that
alright,
game.
yeah, fuck yeah.
It's in a month's time.
Huge.
that is huge. That is massive.
Port Pies.
I believe Corey has a stat about the Gold Coast Suns.
Do you have a? The equilibrium one that you were going to say?
Oh, yes. So after
yeah.
that game, I was a little bit confused when I was looking at the ladder, and their percentage was 100.0.
Yes.
So I looked into it. I was like, what? 100.0? What the hell? And it turns out up to now they've had 991 points for and 991 points against,
That
which
is
crazy.
True parity.
It is.
There's
And
some-
they-
As
and they-
average
they
as
win
it could
lots
possibly be.
There
as
is something in that. There is something in that, I
There
reckon.
is something in that.
So that's a good transition because there's something in our boys. It's the flagship segment
wow, okay.
of the Barely Touched Him podcast. We're going to be checking in on our adopted, beautiful, handsome, articulate sons. Now, there wasn't a lot of
No.
boy news for my boy this week. He was back in the sandful after getting dropped. Second week in a row he's been there. He ended up with 20 disposals playing for Adelaide in the sandful. Kind of low sandful numbers for Paddy. Usually he mops up playing in the twos. But they have had some injuries to their back line, as we know. Shouts out to Tom Duday. He's gone down for the season. Very unfortunate. But one door closes and another Duday opens. In comes,
God.
hopefully, my boy into the back six again, Patrick Parnell. The opening is there. This week they've got the Eagles at Adelaide Oval.
Yep.
If Paddy Parnell slides into this team again, against that Eagles forward line, who are, I think, going to be quite impotent after last week, they're going to be out on their feet. They used up all of their energy. Paddy's going to mop up off of halfback if he gets picked for this game. If he gets picked, I'm tipping him to get 28 disposals and a goal. You heard it here first.
Have you slid into Nixie's DMs or what?
Haven't slid into Nixie's DMs yet, but if Paddy doesn't get picked this week, I might actually do that and just say, why aren't you picking Paddy Parnell? And don't give him a hello or anything. Just like straight into the DMs, why did you not pick Patrick Parnell? And just see if he leaves me on scene. See if he even opens it up. I'm talking to you, Nixie. Your boy, do you have a Sam Flanders update?
So Sammy played in a thrashing against Port Melbourne, 120 odd to 51.
Yes.
He got 34 disposals
Oh!
and 1 goal, 1.
He's knocking on the door.
Yeah,
He's
so-
knocking on the door. And that's after last week he got like 30 odd and a goal as well, didn't he?
It was lower. I think he got about. Oh no, it was about 27.
Yeah,
it
and
was
you've got to
27.
be saying to Stewie Jew,
Yeah.
what more does Sammy Flanders have to do to get a call up?
He's number one in line.
Yeah.
That's all there is.
He'd
to
have
it.
to be. He'd have
He's
to be.
right there. If they need anybody,
They do have the bye coming up this week, though, in the AFL, the
do.
Suns.
And I thought that I had written down their run. It doesn't look like I have, but They've got a few interesting games coming up. I think the Dogs in a couple of weeks.
Yes.
They just played the Dogs.
No, they just
and now
played the
they're
Dogs.
pl-
They
no,
just
but
played the
they're
Dogs.
going to play them
Okay, I've
again,
got
I
that
think.
right.
Yes. No. I can do a
But
bit of
look,
quick research maths
I
here.
may have to, similar to your Nick's plan, I may have to get on to
Get
Stewie.
into Stewie Jew's DMs.
And just
so
say-
they've got,
just
their
say to
next
him,
game
"Look,
is
mate,
Sunday,
he-
June 18th. They've got Carlton.
He's a good boy. He needs a run.
He needs
needs a run.
Let the boy watch.
Boy, what?
So they've got Carlton, and then the Suns have Hawthorn.
Oh, that's
Winnable, winnable.
These are very winnable
tick.
games for the Suns. That's round 15. In round 16, they have got Collingwood
Okay.
at
Well,
Heritage Bank
that's not
Stadium.
a good one.
So
No,
you know,
no,
if it-
away.
yeah,
Have they got
they're
a-
hosting Collingwood, and that it was a very tight game the last time we played them at Heritage
Yeah.
Bank Stadium. It was very very tight. We only won it
But,
down the wire.
Poor Sammy, again chopping up in the VFL. I'm not sure how much more he has to do.
Yeah.
We love him, and hopefully Carlton. Next week.
Let the boy watch.
I think they have the bye next week, and then Carlton, if I'm not
I
mistaken.
think so. Yeah. By next week they come. Your boy Monty. We don't get to hear about
About Tom Powell.
Jesus,
How is he?
scared.
How's
Did
it
you say Powell
going?
or did you say Powell?
It's the fucking Catalina wine mixer, Monty. How is Tom Powell?
Tom Powell played all right. He came on as the sub.
Yep.
And-
Super sub Tommy
Super
Powell.
sub,
Yes.
and still racked up 21 disposals.
Oh, Tommy
not bad.
Powell.
Didn't hit the
Who
scoreboard.
got subbed out of that game again? It was someone went down. I forget.
It was actually Jai Simpkin.
Yeah,
So
he got
Sim-
concussed. Yeah.
So he took a shoulder bump, Jai Simpkin, and it looks like the whiplash effect might have actually concussed him.
That can happen. Oh man. So Tommy Powell comes off the bench and
With 21,
racks
so,
it up.
and he was pretty critical in the middle.
21 off the bench is nice.
Yeah,
That's
so
nice.
he'll be pushing for first team, no sub. No
I'd
vest for
say
Tommy. No
Yeah,
vest.
I would say that too. Yeah.
Yep.
Good work, Tommy.
Yeah, well done, Tommy. That's some very good showings from our boys. And I think what we can do now is just segue into the other sporting news / other news in general section.
Do you want to ad lib a is Joel okay, but just scratch that out
because
for right
Joel
now?
is not here. Shout out to our boy Joel. We can go. Is Monty okay? I think we can try
Yeah.
and do it now and replace St Kilda with the Port Adelaide Power. We've touched on this a little bit, Monty. How are you doing with it all? I mean,
is the success, the current success, a double-edged sword? Because you were pretty heavily advocating for Ken's head,
Yep.
and this
he
absolutely
was planning a coup.
This historic run of nine winning games. I mean, it's going to be hard to get rid of him, isn't it?
Yeah.
it is.
Yeah, it actually is. And I'm in a way pleading with the greater pair community.
Yes.
Oh, so you mean David Koch?
Well, no, I'm the supporters who were in the same boat as me, who wanted.
know if we can get rid of him.
That's very good.
I do a good. I do a good
Crypto.
Kochie.
That is a fantastic.
if you throw Lockie Jones onto him, you could get a bit of a forward tagging role, Ken. You got to listen to me, mate.
That's really.
I've been waiting for like 6 weeks to whip that out.
That is so good.
It's all right. It's staying. It's staying.
Wow.
Yeah, go on, Monty.
No, I love
Yeah.
it.
Fuck me.
Can't get over it.
It's amazing. Oh no!
I gotta leave Sunrise. It's such a demanding role being president of this fucking footy club. No, go on, Monty. The segment's about you. The segment's about you.
The memes you could make with an AI.
You could.
Crypto.
So,
and such.
if you were to place, we asked Joel
Yeah.
about his prediction for their ladder position
Yeah.
and their finals performance.
Yeah.
What are you honestly
So-
gauging here for the Power?
I'm honestly gauging top 4.
Yep.
I'd love top 2. I'd love to get to a grand final.
Yeah,
If we get
yeah,
to
yeah.
a grand final, Ken's job is safe.
Yes.
Okay. But it now begs the question. There's no doubt he is coaching, whether it's him on the bench doing that mentoring thing. I've said this before. He could be doing that mentoring role, and Kari's doing the tactical stuff
Yep.
upstairs.
Love it.
It's a great coaching sort of joint effort, I suppose. But if it's working the way that it is, it's clear. Anyone would be kidding themselves that they didn't say that it was clear that this group of the team, this group of boys, adore him.
Oh yeah.
And they're playing for him.
Yeah, I mean, just
So-
seeing how excited he is on the boundary
Yeah.
when the final siren goes, you can tell he knows that this is it. Because when he gets those wins, he's fucking
He's
pumped.
buzzing.
Yeah.
He's buzzing.
He's
and also,
fucked.
like, coaching aside as well, like this is the list for Port. Like this is
it's
the
fantastic.
if you're going to win a flag,
Yeah.
this is the list that is going to take you there.
Yeah, for
and
sure.
like,
You've got
dare I
Finlayson.
say
Who
it?
else
If,
do you
I
need?
mean, you've got look. If our beautiful handsome boy Nick Dacos does not win the Brownlow medal, it's going to be Butters.
Yeah.
It's
You would
going to
think.
be Butters
You
that
would
will
think, yeah.
tip him over the line.
Well,
Fun fact.
Degoe being out. Sorry, Monty.
Yeah.
Degoe being out for 4 weeks is going to hurt Butters because
Dacos is going to rack up the ball.
Degoe for the past few weeks has been clean sheeting coaches' votes every week.
He has.
Every week. So
Yes.
he's been racking up some Brownlow votes there.
Yep.
So with him gone, you would imagine Dacos will step back up into that top spot.
Yeah, he'll be in
for
the guts.
Collingwood games.
He'll be in the guts. Sorry, go on, Monty.
No. So what I was sort of imploring to my fellow supporters, the majority of supporters wanted Ken's head.
Yes.
Yeah, that seems to be
which
the
is
consensus.
fair.
Yeah.
Which
Yes.
is fair. They're not going to do contract talks till after August, which is fair. And both parties, both the club and Ken, have agreed on that, and that's fine. That's great.
Yep.
There have been moments in these last 9 weeks that there were decisions and things said that were never done before. For example, the club lives by the creed. All right. They print it on jumpers and that, but the creed is that everyone is accountable from the board members all the way down to the guys who do the boots, right?
Yes.
Tom Jonas is the captain of this footy club and has been dropped.
Yeah, the last
Which is
time I remember
huge.
that happening was
Yes.
Stephen Caniglio getting dropped
I
for
forgot about
GWS.
that. I remember
Yep.
reading that last week.
Correct.
And just being a bit
Ken,
flabbergasted.
he's
Like,
playing
they've
like a
dropped
spud.
the captain.
You've got to drop him back to the twos, Ken.
So I'm sitting there thinking to myself,
That's a huge call
Yeah.
to drop
Yeah.
the captain.
and I'm
yeah.
sitting there going, that's not happened before. And the things that were said 8 weeks ago, we live by the creed. If someone is not, accountable, they should be dropped. That's happening. The wins are happening. The close games are happening. Everything is happening correctly. So there's no one in their right mind that would say Ken is not the right person for this job.
he's doing it.
And I know I'm
He's
jumping
making calls.
backwards. I'm jumping backwards. But tell me if this group gets to a prelim at least, which I think they will.
Yeah.
And hopefully they get to a grand final and hopefully they win that. But anybody else could not come in to this club
Yeah.
and
And do
take
that.
this group of players
Well, if you
one
contrast
further.
it- if
Yeah.
you con-
No, that's
who
such
could
a good,
possibly
that's
do
such a
that?
good point.
If you
That's such a good
contrast,
point.
if you contrast that against other coaches, the worst thing that a coach can do is not make calls.
Yeah.
You
just
can
be stagnant.
You can
and,
make
yeah.
you can make bad calls, and it's like, okay, we tried something there. Let's
Yeah.
try something else.
Yeah.
You can at least be like, all right, he's doing something. Whereas, I mean, if you look at Michael Voss at Carlton right now, doesn't seem to be doing a lot.
It
does
doesn't
he?
seem to be doing a lot.
It's
It
the,
doesn't
it's,
seem to
and
be
it's
doing
the
a lot.
same. It's just the same shit over and over. If he was
we
at least doing
were given
something,
a perfect example of a coach trying something after shit going wrong and trying to fix it. Justin Longmuir this year.
Yeah,
absolutely.
We were talking about Frio's game plan and it being stagnant. We weren't the only ones saying it. Fucking every pundit and their dog was saying it. They were too slow.
All of a
Their
sudden,
ball
they're
movement-
running up the field.
All of a sudden, after a game plan change directly coming from the coaching
and
staff.
it was that game against
it has
Geelong
worked.
where it changed.
And
3
they've
weeks
tried
ago.
something new. They've decided, hey, the game's playing this way. We've got to attack. We've got to run.
And now it looks like they're
It
running
looks like
up
$1 million
to 6.
bucks. Jai Amos looks like fucking Tony
Yeah.
Lockett.
He
Like
does.
it's
Yeah.
all of a sudden, it becomes contagious when you go, all right, let's do it. Let's not react. Let's act. Let's take the
Exactly.
game
Yeah,
on.
you gotta,
Porter doing that.
You got to
100%.
hand it to Ken.
You gotta hand it to Ken.
hand it
Yeah.
to him.
And I'll finish
I'll
the
tell you what,
segment.
Ken, I was gonna sack you, but now that you're starting to get the wins on the board, Kenny, I've got to quit Sunrise and go to Vegas.
I would love to see him sack Hinkley and appoint himself as the coach. Oh man, that would be
Now,
fantastic.
Zach Butters, I want you at full forward.
To end the segment, David,
Yeah, go on.
I just want to remind you of one stat, David,
What's that?
from 2018. It might be tweaked a little bit,
Okay.
but I've brought it back up to the surface, and I've put it all over Twitter and that. Draft a Rioli, win a flag.
Oh, I've seen this.
And I'm just-
We did pick up a little Willie from somewhere. We did.
So,
we did. So
just
Junior,
a slight tweak,
Junior,
but we have picked up Junior
Yeah.
Rioli.
we've been doing the
did
work.
see
So
that
this-
table, and it did blow me away a little bit of all
Yeah.
the years
Every
where people
Rioli
have
was
drafted a Rioli.
very
They've
good.
won a flag within
Very
3
good.
years. So
But, I mean, to be fair, with how stats and averages work, There's a lot of Riolis.
There's a lot of Riolis. There's a shitload of them. So let's go to round out what's been a very fun episode with just other sporting news and other general news, boys.
We can go into some, quickly into F1.
Yes.
We
We do like to get an update.
Barcelona.
From what I understand, fucking Verstappen won again.
He didn't just win. He dominated
Domination.
beyond dominating.
Yep.
In qualifying, he was nearly a full second ahead of the second fella.
That's big, right?
That is massive. When
okay.
everyone
Yep.
is going full tilt.
Sorry, what course was this? Where was this?
Barcelona in Spain.
Barcelona?
Yeah,
Okay,
Barcelona.
yeah.
Carlos Sainz, ended up in second or third in qualifying. So that was good for the home crowd because he's a Spaniard. Didn't get any jockeys.
So, Verstappen starts the race in front and finishes the race in front.
0.9 of a second in qualifying in a game where 0.001 of a second is usually like a margin that
Yes.
you would expect. Incredible. So if you
Yes.
extrapolate that over a 66 lap race,
Good Lord.
if he's doing that lap time, he's lapping most of the field.
That's fucked.
And
That
it's pretty,
is fucked.
He didn't lap anybody, but the race radio was very interesting. He was leading by so much. He ended up winning by about 40 seconds, but he was pushing.
40 seconds?
He was pushing. He's dominating so hard. We're actually not sure how quick he can go.
What the
Because
fuck? Because he's just
he's
easing
back,
off.
he's backing off. He's trying to go fast, and his engineers are on the radio though. Okay,
Ease up now.
Slow it
Ease
down.
up.
He's like, hey, I know what I can do.
Yeah.
Just
Isn't
relax. They're
Very cool.
They're joking
Very
around
cool.
on the radio. He's like, I know. I'm just giving it a bit. They're like, all right,
man.
Max, chill out,
That's
man.
so
But
cool.
Corey, isn't this coming after all I heard something about engine reveals and stuff like that.
Well,
in the last week or two?
there was some new body designs that came out.
Yes.
So Ferrari came out with essentially, I mean, not a whole new car, but a very near brand new design, which it mimics a lot more of the rest of the field. Just with the way that the side pods are designed, it's all aero stuff, and it did not seem to help them at all. They seemed to be
Wow.
far slower.
Wow.
But but the thing about this season of F1 is if you take Max out of the equation, it's actually a very interesting season. A lot of the mid-marker teams are battling it out very, very evenly. I mean, even Lando Norris came third in the race, which is not in the race, in qualifying, which
Nice.
is unbelievable.
Yeah, fuck yeah, Lando. Get
They were
around him.
interviewing him, and he was like, I don't know what happened.
I don't know what happened.
But
Nice.
the Alpine's very fast. It was a slow week for the green cars, which was to be expected. They like
Yes.
some slower corners. Barcelona's very fast, long cornering track. But we'll see. The Canadian GP is next, and we'll see if who's the Canadian guy? It's Lance Stroll.
I was
think
going to say
he's-
Justin Trudeau.
He's Canadian, so
yes.
we'll see how we go there.
I've got a big one this week that I wasn't aware of until Corey told me about it, and I had to pull up an article for this. Australia Week in Vegas, 10-game plan revealed as huge band lined up for NRL's US extravaganza. The NRL is planning 10 matches in Las Vegas with talks underway
Unbelievable.
for Irish rockers U2 to help promote the game in America, according to media reports on Sunday.
Great
so not
Australian
only are they
band
going
to
to
use.
NRL in fucking Vegas,
Yeah.
they're getting U2.
And so
They're getting U2. That's huge.
This is Peter Volandis just swinging his big old dick around.
Dude, I love it.
Yeah.
I absolutely love this.
Fantastic.
The league has long wanted to stage games in the United States as a way to grow the sport outside of Australia, where it is hugely popular. The sports boss, Big Peter Vlandis, told News Corp he was in the final stages of formalising a deal to kick off their 2024 season at Vegas Allegiant Stadium. So this is
So,
next
the Raiders-
season kicking off.
Raiders-
I've heard
Stadium.
a
Yeah.
lot about this because I'm a big fan of Roy and HG.
Yes.
And Roy and HG forever, like not just the past few years, forever have hung shit on Peter Volandis because he's so in the pockets of the gambling companies.
yeah, sure.
So they do a lot of jokes and skits about gambling stuff in
Yes.
the NRL. Like,
They're going to Vegas.
like they've tongue in cheek advocated for like pokies in NRL grandstands. You go to your seat and you've got a pokey at your seat, and they're like, "Oh, Peter V'landys would love that." So you can imagine with this stuff about going to Vegas, the betting betting stuff going on
Well,
there.
the strip won't survive. Like, I know that the strip will not survive the NRL team. So this would be like a gather round there. He wants to have like 10 games there. So every NRL team descends on Vegas.
See,
NRL fans descend
I
on
had
Vegas.
heard that it was 2 games.
okay.
If they're
All right.
doing 10, that is insanity.
Yeah, it's 10 matches in
Jesus
Las Vegas.
Christ.
I know that the Americans think they like to party hard and that Vegas it's going to be wild.
No.
If you get every NRL team in Las Vegas for a weekend during the season and have the big sort of gather round, sort of magic round scenario there.
Every midget stripper
Vegas
will
is
be
not
dead.
going to survive. It's
No.
going to be like it's going to be like the last scene in The Hangover where they look at all the photos.
Correct.
But that's going to be 7 News on Monday
but
morning
with more
afterwards.
dead hookers.
More dead hookers. There's going to be
God.
monkeys selling drugs. There's going to be
It's
someone will die.
One of my favorite TikToks that you have ever made
Why,
is,
thank you.
is the NRL versus AFL.
Look, those
league.
jokes.
Now, the sex
those-
worker was dead when I got there.
Those gags are fish in a barrel. I did have some NRL fans coming into the comments of that one. By the way, Benry in the booth on TikTok, give it a follow. But the NRL fans, they're a simple bunch. They like
They
to come
are.
in and say, "Oh, typical gags from a gay AFL fan," and I don't think they understand that. That's like
That's perpetuating the narrative.
That's perpetuating the narrative. Like you're not making yourself seem like any smarter. And also, like, I think gay AFL's a sick name for a code.
Yeah.
Like, they're,
I mean, we're in 2023.
yeah, man.
Gay AFL's great.
I reckon gay AFL, we should get around it. We should have gay AFL round. Like,
get rid of Pride Round.
Pride
coming
round
up.
isn't gay enough. We need to have
No, we
gay
need more.
AFL round. I want like full-on drag shows at games.
Love it.
Like, and
Do it.
Love
have it. Club songs are great, but imagine like a gay drag like show of doing the club songs.
There could be a. I'm not sure if you've ever seen it, but there's a very famous ballet parody where they use
Yes.
drag queens, and it's like big, muscular dudes that,
Hell yeah.
that dress as the ballerinas.
Yes.
And they have the real music and everything, and they'll be dancing, and they'll purposely drop each other, and
Yes.
it's kind of like a circusy vibe.
Like slapstick, like yeah.
Slapstick's
yeah,
the word I'm looking for. I'd like to see that, but at a game of like Oz Kick. So at halftime, it's like an Oz Kick game, but it's drag
Start 'em young.
queens.
Start 'em young.
Yeah, dude, I would get around that. Oh, man, you get all the hardcore right-wing chuds that are very scared of drag queen story time. They have not seen drag queen Auskick yet. That'll give them a thing. What else have we got for
While we're
sport?
still on rugby,
Yes.
it's not league but union.
Ooh.
The Western Force, who
Forgot they existed.
mysteriously are still around, and that's big. They only are still around. For anyone that's not aware, they got booted out or left the National Rugby Union League. Not even sure what it's called anymore. It changed its name. Super Rugby.
We have more than one rugby union league, and they've joined another one.
No, there's one, but it's changed through the years. I'm pretty sure it's just called Super Rugby.
God, I know nothing about union.
But
I know
in any
absolutely
case,
nothing about it.
Twiggy Forrest is a billionaire that lives in WA
Yep.
and loves the Western Force. So they are
Yep.
still alive because of him. He pays for everything.
He bought them.
He bought the team. He flies national teams like Fiji and Tonga to come to Perth and play exhibition games. They even get Super Rugby teams to come over, like
Yep.
Waratahs and
Yep.
whatnot. In any case, they've just picked up a new recruit from Wales, I believe.
That's right. Yes.
Of the name Harry Potter.
Absolute genius marketing move, Twiggy. Genius. Oh,
So Harry Potter, I do have it here. We'll find out what position he plays.
Harry Potter. Well, he
fan-
plays Seeker. That's what he plays.
Fantastic,
Thank you very much.
fantastic pickup for the Western Force.
And he does. He would have been born in like 2003 or something.
There we go.
I did give him a look.
He's from the Leicester Tigers in the UK.
Yep.
It doesn't say his position. Oh, that's unfortunate.
Oh, well.
But we'll have to go down and give him a look.
I've got another
he doesn't
bit
have
of
glasses. And
I
he
actually
doesn't
have another bit of rugby union
tattoo.
news, and this is the only two rugby union news items we've ever had on the blog. Former Wallabies captain Phil Waugh has been appointed Rugby Australia CEO.
Okay.
So they've got a new CEO. Now, if you're a fan of the Batuta Advocate on Facebook, their running gag is that the CEO of Rugby Australia is the marketing pigeon because they're such a shit show and no one cares about rugby union that it's all of their comms and their PR are run by a pigeon. So there's been minimum 15 articles about the rugby pigeon, trying to stay ahead of scandals and trying to deal with the public fallout of the Israel Folau anti-gay stuff, and the pigeon's really shitting himself this week. But the pigeon has now been replaced. Former Wallabies captain Phil Waugh. Don't know what this means. Don't know who he is. I imagine that the only people that will care about this are just the rich boys who follow rugby union.
Yes.
So write into the pod if you're a rich private schoolboy who plays union. What do you think? What do you think about Phil Waugh? Do we care? Do I care? I don't know.
Remember Phil Waugh as a player. But I'm out of touch with the politics.
Any relation to the other wars?
No.
Nothing going on there.
I'm out of touch with the politics of Rugby Australia.
Well, they'd be liberals.
They definitely would be, yes.
You can rest assured there that they're pro-privatisation in all forms.
That was a terrible piece of news.
Yeah, it was. I feel dirty saying it. I feel very dirty saying it.
We can go on to some more exciting stuff.
I've got a couple of things.
Lay them on me, Monty. You need to bring it back.
The first one's a quick one for anyone who hasn't seen it. Ted Lasso has finished up.
Yes.
Great show.
It's about hockey, isn't it?
Yeah, it's about soccer.
It's about soccer.
Oh, you knew it.
Great show. It's like a warm
popular thing bad, Corey? Yes.
The other thing I wanted to touch base with was the NBA. Now we're in the finals, people.
Yes.
We're in the finals. The Denver
You're our
Nuggets,
basketball correspondent.
Game 2 happened.
The Denver Nuggets are trying to win their first ever championship.
Yes.
And they're going up against the
Miami
Heat and the Jimmy Butler show.
Yep.
Game 2 is just finished yesterday.
Margaritaville, is that the guy?
That's Jimmy Buffett.
Yeah, that was another joke.
Yeah, I got it, but I just wanted... Most of our listeners are probably younger gentlemen who have no fucking idea who Jimmy Buffett is.
Look up Margaritaville.
Good song. It's a good song.
It's too cold for these bullshit. It's actually, we're currently outside in Corey's shed, and
the heat
you can hear the ambient hum of the heater. But yeah, it's going all right. The heater, it's going okay.
So
It's
what's 6 degrees right now?
Yeah, it's Jokic v Butler.
Basically, yeah, and Jokic's game 2 was yesterday. Jokic dropped 41 points.
Oof.
And they lost.
Yep.
But the man can't do it all himself. He's clearly the league's MVP.
Yeah, and he didn't get it. It went to Joel Embiid.
Correct.
Yeah.
And the game's tied now 1-1. And the next game's in Miami.
Yep.
So it's very exciting because
I've been a very big NBA casual the past 3 years.
Yep.
I keep up to date, but I don't watch a lot of games. I'm going to give you my red hot tip. Nuggets in 6.
Yes.
I'm going to go Nuggets in 6.
I would say the same, yeah.
I would say the same. I think most pundits who aren't really into either of the teams will probably still go for Denver because as they're going for their first ever franchise
you
win.
got to do it.
You got to
do it. I've got a bit
Florida,
of
more Florida news.
Oh, give me always Florida, man.
Florida Panthers.
Stanley Cup?
Yeah, the Stanley Cup, NHL.
Have they won it?
No, they lost another game. So it's the Vegas Golden Knights 2-0 in that series.
What a sick team name.
The Golden Knights?
Golden Knights.
So it's actually
that
based,
is awesome.
It's actually based, the guy that was campaigning for a Las Vegas team for years was an ex-military guy. So they got the license to get the franchise. He built it, and they called it the Golden Knights because that is a name of a fighter pilot squadron.
Oh, okay.
Even on some of their promotional material, like it's mostly like a knight's helmet type stuff, but some of their promotional material is a jet fighter.
Okay,
for that
all right,
exact reason.
I dig it.
Wow, cool.
I've got a big from the world of football, British football news.
You're right.
Man City are 1 win away from the treble.
What's the treble?
The treble is winning 3 trophies in one season, meaning your league, trophy, the Premier League.
Yep.
Your tournament, like your country tournament, the FA Cup, which they have won both of those. So they've won the FA Cup.
Now.
They're in the Champions League final coming up against Inter Milan.
Oh, okay.
So if they win this, They will be, I believe it's only happened 9 times in history. Teams have won the treble.
Love
like
it.
Bayern Munich have done it a couple of times. Real Madrid have done it a couple
Manchester
of times.
United have
Man
done it.
United did it once. I think Inter might have done it. But this will be the 10th time in history that they have done it. It will cap off like... It will be deserving if they do, because Man City are the most dominant team in Premier League history now. In the history of the Premier League, no team has ever been this dominant for this long.
What a coach too.
Oh, Pep Guardiola. I fucking love Pep.
Watch Ted Lasso. He's in Pep.
Yeah,
Pep's in there
I
too.
know
Yeah.
he had a bit of a guest starring thing.
He did.
So if Inter managed to beat City in this final, it would be the upset of all upsets. It would be a bottle
would,
job.
yep.
So they just beat Manchester United. Man City, it was a Manchester derby in the FA Cup final.
Yeah.
Manchester United, as expected, completely bottled it.
Capitulated, yep.
Gundogan kicked a goal in the second
Oh,
minute
that
of
was
the
a
game.
ripper.
A humdinger, a piss missile from outside the box after some dog shit defending from the Reds, the Red Devils. And it was just all one-way traffic from there. It was just one of those moments where I love watching the Man United fans' reactions more than I enjoy watching the actual game. Pure sadness and anguish and defeat. It was beautiful. Messi's leaving PSG, perhaps.
Yes.
Well,
I heard he got booed, even though they...
Yeah, I think he's got an offer of $500 million or something
To
from
play in the
Saudi
States.
Arabia or the States or
Yeah.
one of
Well,
those.
it's a Saudi-owned team
Yes,
in the States.
in the States. I think it's like Atlanta or something like that.
Yeah,
Something
yeah.
like that.
That's a good gig.
Yeah, to
Oh,
finish,
it's
to
easy.
finish
To
out
finish
your
your
career.
career.
And
Yeah.
Zlatan Ibrahimovic has retired.
Retired, yeah.
So
I love
all of
Zlatan.
the legends of our youth are either moving on or leaving the game.
If you want to laugh, head onto YouTube and look up Zlatan interview highlights.
Yeah, he's good.
There's
He's
reels
good.
of him being asked questions and just destroying reporters.
Yeah.
Like, why are
He's
you asking me
still-
this? I am Zlatan.
I still think he's kicked the best goal I've seen in my life. The bicycle kick he got from outside
Yeah.
the box, Sweden versus England. I forget
Oh.
what year. He's well outside the box, and the
Wait, Sweden
audacity
versus England?
even do
Where's
that.
he
He
from?
plays for Sweden.
He plays for Sweden.
He's Swedish.
He's
He's
Swedish.
Swedish.
Yeah.
Yes, he's
Oh,
Swedish.
I thought he was.
You'd think with the
Eastern
name,
Bloc.
you'd think with the Slavic name,
Yeah.
he'd be in there. But no, he plays for Sweden.
What
He's,
the hell? I never knew that.
It's wild. It's wild. But yes, rip to a real one. I
Well,
think
he's been at it for a long time.
He's been at it a while. He probably should have retired a while ago. But it's either way. And one more bit of soccer news. Craig Goodwin has won the Johnny Warren Medal, which is Australian football's equivalent of the Brownlow.
Oh, okay.
Only player in the A-League to be in the top 5 for goals and assists playing for Adelaide United. He had a very good campaign for the Socceroos as well
Yep.
Love
in our World Cup drive. So congrats to Craig Goodwin.
Well done, mate. Good win.
Other news, boys? Have we got anything else to round out the pod?
That's pretty much it from me. Anything?
Nothing you
Monty?
want to? Nothing. I thought you would have had
No.
something to say about Ben Roberts-Smith. That
I've
seems
got
right
a
in your.
I've got a lot to say about that, but
Pretty
let's-
funny. Pretty funny stuff. Not the war crimes, but just the way the trial went was very funny.
While we're talking about soccer, he should be working he shouldn't be working for them, but the soccer guys should be taking something from him because that's the biggest own goal in history.
Oh yes.
He lost that trial, but they didn't bring the trial to him. He took the trial to
He
them.
was the plaintiff. He was the plaintiff
He
in this
was trying to
defamation
sue them,
trial.
and
then the
from-
result of that trial is,
You're a war
you're a
criminal.
war criminal.
It's like, what are you doing? What are you doing?
Oh God! And I think we have Ben Roberts-Smith to not thank, but it's his. I think he's the big reason that shit show SAS Australia, that reality show,
yeah.
is on TV
That's
because
the
he's.
only whole reason it exists.
Yeah, because
Yep.
he's best buds with Kerry Stokes, and he's like, oh, I reckon this would be a sick reality show if you got like Chappelle Corby to go to Iraq or whatever. I haven't seen the show. But that's the gist
I
of
think
it.
from things that I've seen about it, it's making B and C list celebrities cry on camera.
That's it. That's really
That's
it. I
what
think
it is.
Paulie from Fat Pete's was on
Yeah, I
it,
think
and
Mitch Robinson go on.
He did.
Mitch Robinson. went on
Yeah,
it?
I'm pretty sure Mitch
well,
Robinson went on
get the bag, King. You know, you get the bag. I support.
And obviously Chappelle Corby was the big one.
all Chappelle Corby and Mitch Robinson endeavours. They have the full support of the board.
I'd love to see David Koch there.
Oh,
well,
God.
do you really think I've got to eat this frog and go and go and invade Iraq?
he
I
can-
can't do it.
He could tear a meniscus stepping off a stool.
He could
My
do it.
God.
Now I'm just imagining like David Koch as defense secretary or like our
Thank
minister.
you, thank you very much to Monty for coming and filling
Thanks
in.
for having me, guys.
You're welcome anytime.
been a-
And
it's
thank
been-
you for
it's-
all the support the listeners have given us this week. It's
It's,
actually been one
uh,
of our bigger weeks numbers wise.
It's university. Just to touch on what I'm not sure if we mentioned it at the start, but Monty is here because it's university exam week. I have exams this week as well, but Joel had a few exams today, which is why he's not here.
Shout out to the king, our short king. We hope
We've
that
mentioned him
any listeners?
exactly 3 times this whole pot, and that's isn't that just feels nice?
It does.
Any
It
listeners
does.
that do have exams this week, good luck, and hopefully you've studied well
Yep.
and better than I have.
We've got your back. And listen out for the tipping episode. Next up, we're going to get it coming at you the day after.
Bingo.
Beautiful. Nice one, lads.